How's it going, you guys? So in this video I want to make some suggestions about vitamin supplementation that I think a lot of people would probably find some value in. I think it's very important to do this type of experiment I'm about to mention, simply because a lot of people, especially people following my channel, especially if they're on a carnivore diet or a low carb diet or a diet that contains a lot of white rice, honestly, pretty much anybody and everybody probably will find a drastic improvement in their health if they try this experiment I'm about to talk about. So, again, this is not about facts or science or anything for that matter, even though it is pretty much using a scientific method to improve your life. But this is not about facts or dogma. This is about real world results and making yourself feel better. So, listen, I think everybody watching this video should probably try supplementing with ascorbic acid, vitamin B1, and probably a full spectrum multivitamin that does not contain iron, that does contain iodine, and also contains a B complex and vitamin A from retinol, or some form of active vitamin A, not beta-carotene. Okay, as well as some extra vitamin D and some magnesium on the side. Okay. Alternatively, just taking about 1 milligram of iodine, approximately 2 grams of vitamin C, 400 milligrams of magnesium, and anywhere from 300 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin B1 a day. I think a lot of people, if you take that in spreaded doses, obviously, not just at once, and taking it with food. If you take B1 on an empty stomach, you're likely to feel pretty crappy. I think that will solve a lot of people's problems, regardless of what problems they might be dealing with. But especially if you feel like you have some sort of chronic fatigue, if you have digestive problems, if you have trouble sleeping, if you have anxiety, energy problems, brain fog. I mean, these are the main ones, but also things like dermatitis and skin conditions also seem to be affected, and also food intolerances. So I'm reading a lot of case reports of people who have struggled with food intolerances and all sorts of health problems for most of their life, and then they go to carnivore or a low carb diet and they experience an improvement, and then but then it continues to get worse. And then when they supplement with this type of protocol, all of a sudden they notice all their symptoms start to improve, slowly but surely. And then after a number of weeks, they notice that they can start to introduce foods back into their diet that they were intolerant to previously. Sometimes people notice a worsening of their symptoms in the first 1 to 4 weeks. And then after that, they hit a point where it's nothing but drastic improvements. But I think if you take the right forms of these vitamins and minerals and you start slowly and work your way up, you're likely to only experience benefits. So, some things that I experienced so far. Vitamin C has definitely a pretty significant impact on improving my mood, improving my energy, and also relaxing me at the same time, and just making me feel overall normal, I guess. When I added B1 thiamine into my stack, and I'm talking just generic ascorbic acid and generic thiamine hydrochloride, I experienced an even more significant benefit to my mood and my energy. And I slept for 10 hours straight the first night, and I just felt amazing. Did notice a slight increase in my appetite, but I think that's a good thing. I think that means my body's craving for synergistic nutrients, and it's utilizing energy better is what I think. And I just notice I feel healthier. I feel like I'm going back to where I was before I went on the hardcore processed food binge way back in the day that I never recovered from. So let me explain why I think everyone should do this. So look, there's a lot of talk about, oh, there's no supplements in the jungle, and human beings shouldn't need supplements if their diet is adequate. Because we've been eating whole foods for our entire life, and the recommended daily allowance of nutrients is complete bullshit, and it's based on weak evidence, which is all true. People say all you need is to eat meat and you'll be fine, or all you need is to avoid processed foods and you'll be fine. But here's the thing that I think I've come to at this point, because I was saying that for a while, but I've kind of been back and forth. But what I feel like, so first of all, at a baseline, nutrient deficiencies were discovered from populations of people who ate a lot of refined foods. And they found when people consume more refined foods, they get more nutrient deficiencies, basically. And they found when they add these vitamins back into the diet of refined foods, then the deficiency symptoms go away. And that's the origin of most vitamin deficiencies, including scurvy, to an extent. Now, the next thing is that we've got to consider. So most of us, especially those of us who are experiencing problems, like there's a lot of people who go on carnivore diets and feel amazing. Most people, I would say 70% of the people that go on a carnivore diet and they stick to it past the second month feel amazing. But then there's those of us who, like the 30%, who still have complaints of fatigue and joint pain and whatnot. And a lot of people just assume it's because of the damaging effects of plant foods and this and that, and food intolerances and oxalates and all this nonsense. But what a lot of people fail to understand is, at least in my case, but in a lot of people's case, they've been consuming jasmine rice or white rice for a long period of time. And they've been consuming refined sugar and refined carbs for a certain majority of their life. And even, for the first decade of your life, you're consuming primarily refined foods, especially if they're not fortified. But even if they are fortified, what can happen is for example, vitamin B1 is the foundational requirement for your body to produce energy from carbohydrates as well as fatty acids. It's significantly important to get enough B1 in order to produce ATP, which is energy from anything. More so from carbs than from fats. What happens is if you're consuming carbs without adequate B1 for a long period of time, it uses up your whatever stored B1 your body can possibly store. And it's hypothesized that 30 days of consuming consuming refined carbs without adequate B1 can deplete your body of its stores significantly. And then what happens is you dig your body's stores deeper and deeper until you have no B1 left. And then you have all sorts of other minerals and vitamins that get depleted, and enzymatic processes in the body that start to get thrown out of whack because you don't have adequate B1. And vitamin C also plays a slight role in this. And so if you have a long-term history of consuming these refined carbs, then you're depleting your body of the B1 and the vitamin C and potentially many others, including magnesium. And it can take a long time for your body to come back from that. Even if you're removing all carbohydrates in general, a lot of people, when they go on carnivore diets, all that they eat is muscle meat, specifically from beef, and it's not really a significant source of B1 unless you're eating pork or eating like a pound of liver a day, because even liver doesn't really provide you with enough B1 to overcome this deficit. And so people are feeling tired, they're having digestive problems that get worse over time. they get these rashes and things. Now, what's interesting is a lot of these people, when they supplement with vitamin B1, thiamine, vitamin C, and then magnesium all at the same time, and hopefully a B complex vitamin as well, so you don't, deplete other B vitamins, then over time, all of these other symptoms get better. For some people, within a very short span of time, a couple of hours to a couple of days. And like I said before, some people, they get worse before they get better, because their body has like a shock reaction where it suddenly has everything it needs. And so, I'm not saying that you can't get all the nutrients you need on a no-cell carnivore diet, because that's, what I am saying is all the refined foods people have been eating for most of their life puts them at an extreme deficit in which no diet, no whole food diet can get you to feel better. It's likely that a lot of these vegans that start to develop problems on the vegan diet over time, food intolerances and things, they might also be suffering from an extreme B1 deficiency. And when you have a B1 deficiency that's preventing your body from digesting and absorbing things like beans, then it's harder for you to prevent that, for you to overcome that deficiency from whole foods, because now you're not absorbing the B1 from these foods, because B1 deficiency can hinder your body's absorption and digestion of those foods. And it makes sense that a lot of these people would feel better removing carbs and then filling their diet with B1 and just vitamin B adequate foods. And I believe that a lot of these, I think that some of the Ray Peat followers had mentioned this as well, is that they claim that it's the B vitamins and the meat that a lot of those people are lacking that helps them overcome it. But anyway, so refined carbs and refined foods in general deplete your body of nutrients. It's not just like, oh, they don't contain nutrients I need to survive. No. Food is supposed to contain all the nutrients that your body needs to digest and metabolize that food. So when you eat the macronutrient, the carbohydrate, without the synergistic nutrients like the B1, you actually are not getting the B1 in the food, but also depleting your body of the B1 at the same time. Because it actually uses up B1 and these other nutrients in order to metabolize. So it's a double whammy of deficiencies. So, the protocol that I'm using right now, I'm taking about 500 milligrams, maybe 1 gram of ascorbic acid. This is my morning stack. About 1 gram of ascorbic acid in the morning, combined with a mixed magnesium supplement. It contains magnesium malate, magnesium amino chelate, and magnesium citrate, I believe. Taking about 125 milligrams of magnesium, 500 milligrams to 1 gram of vitamin C, and then about 200 to 300 milligrams of vitamin B1 first thing in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I'll take I'll take the same thing alongside a really low dose multivitamin that contains about 50% of the daily value of all the vitamins and minerals. Taking extra calcium and an extra B vitamin complex, a B50 complex. And then later on in the evening, I'm going to take the vitamin C, the magnesium, and the B1 again. And so I'm going to see how that, what happens over time. Another thing, I talked a little bit about the calculus buildup on the teeth, or the tartar buildup on the teeth, that a lot of carnivore dieters experience. That could very well be a vitamin C issue, because vitamin C plays a role in breaking down calcium and things like that, metabolizing calcium. And that's what calculus and tartar buildup is, Vitamin C also helps with metabolizing phosphorus. So, that is what tartar is built up of, is calcium and phosphorus. So, anyway, Leave your questions down below. Let me know your experiences, and I'll talk to y'all next time.